just have to do without. Here's something you can think about. You play me good, there's no doubt, but you're the one that's missing out. 'Cause baby, we got issues, yeah. Not gonna make them dictate my life. So baby, if you got issues, yeah, don't you take it out of me. Honey, I think we lost the touch. Guess I'm not into you that much. So goodbye, my love. Already found someone that I'm thinking of, and I lose myself again to someone who's got the Guess I'm not into you that much. So goodbye, my love. Already found someone that I'm thinking of, and I lose myself again to someone who's got the to me, so you just have to do without. Here's something you can think about. You play me good, there's no doubt, but you're the one that's missing out. Baby, we got issues, yeah. Not gonna make them dictate my life. So baby, we got issues, yeah. Don't you take it out of me. Guess I'm not into you that much. So goodbye, my love. Already found someone that I'm thinking of, and I lose.
See you later, Randy.
Here we go, put this miserable song on repeat. Cause you seem to forget how much you are hurting me. Do what's right, you say you will, but then you don't. You just don't. You don't care, cause you don't take it seriously. What's there to repair if you don't wanna talk to me? You should know your time is up. I'm out, I'm out. So I put you on a lifetime sentence, and you'll no longer feel my presence. So you thought I would let this live. Thought you knew me so much better. You're on a lifetime sentence, so now you never feel my presence. So you thought I would let this live. Thought you knew me so much better. So you thought I would let this live. Thought you knew me so much better. Yeah, yeah. So you thought I would let this live. No, that's right. Your words don't mean a thing to me. Sleepless night, your love has left us incomplete. Thinking that your promises will fizzle out. No, that's right. So I'm putting you on a lifetime sentence, and you'll no longer feel my presence. So you thought I would let this live. Thought you knew me so much better. You're on a lifetime sentence, so now you never feel my presence. So you thought I would let this live. Thought you knew me so much better. 'Cause I don't. So you thought I would let this live. Thought you knew me so much better. Oh. So you thought I would let this live. So I'm putting you on a lifetime sentence, and now you never feel my presence. So you thought I would let this live. Thought you knew me so much better. We're on a lifetime sentence, so now you never feel my presence. So you thought I would let this live. Thought you knew me so much better. Thought you knew it so much better. Here we go, put this miserable song on repeat. Cause you seem to forget how much you are hurting me. Do what's right.
Jessie Ware.
What do I have to do
To get my message through.
You really shouldn't let me just
Walk all over you.
Don't let me be your midnight caller. You'll be holding on the line. Don't wanna be your midnight caller. You'll be wasting all your time. But when it's late and I'm all alone, I can't help myself.
See what she's singing about in this video are beta men that take phone calls late at night from women that will never fuck them. And she's admitting in this song to being one of those women. It's a very good song. This should be played to every teenage boy in existence so that they know to avoid these women when they become adults. She's being honest, and I appreciate the honesty. This is a great album.
We both know that by the morning, I'll be long gone, you'll be alone. And
By the morning, I'll be long gone, you'll be alone, and you'll still take my call.
now what's this spell you've been under? I thought by now you'd have my number. I was just stringing you along.
I was just stringing you along, so please don't take my call. What do I have to do to get my message through? You really shouldn't let me walk all over you.
Don't let me be your midnight caller. You'll be holding on the line. Don't wanna
What the fuck? Meme car! How do people expect this thing to drive itself when it can't even fucking play a song all the way through without the computer freezing? You piece of effing shit. Meme car, how dare you? I like Jessie Ware. There's honesty in her art. I like honesty in art. It's good shit. I want to see more of that. But seriously, for both genders, whether you're a guy or a girl, if somebody you're interested in only calls you at midnight when they need somebody to vent to, and then is gone the next day, stop taking their call. I thought he's staying his business in New York. I don't get it. I don't know why people think the things they do for no reason. No idea. Focus less on the gossip, people. Less with the gossip. Less gossip, people. That is a giant GMC Sierra mega truck right there. That thing looks like it could eat a Ford F-150. How many Ford F-150s can a GMC Sierra eat? That's a good question. Speaking of women that only call you at midnight when they need something, that's the Facebook Messenger sound of somebody I need to tell to go fuck themselves. See you guys later. That was good timing right there. You know what? That can wait for later. That can actually wait for later. Jack, keep me warm.
This wasn't my fault. I don't cry, got
No, I don't cry.
Could you just
Leave me alone.
You keep haunting my nights. You keep asking me twice if I miss you at all. And I won't lie, though I try. Oh, kinda. Sometimes, maybe. Oh, kinda. Sometimes, maybe. Oh, kinda. Sometimes, maybe. Oh, kinda. Sometimes, kind of, sometimes, maybe. And I see the freedom of the dark. No bright ideas, I'll keep the lights on. Are you wasting my time? And your time, every time. Why you making it hard? I won't show you my cards, played your game and you lost. Do I want you at all? Okay, just a bit. I hate to admit, oh, kinda. Sometimes, maybe. Oh, kinda. Sometimes, maybe. Oh, kinda. Sometimes, maybe. Kinda. Sometimes, kinda.
I don't know. Which way is up? What's going down? The world is moving much too fast. Enjoy the good things and make them last. Each day there's something new to learn. Every day is a new way for what you've learned. I gotta make money, I've got to live. I'm not complaining, that's just the way it is. A ball and chain around my neck. The more I dig out, the deeper I get. Which way is up? What's going down? I just don't know no more. Come on, turn around. People.
Having douchebag Miami Ray-Ban sunglasses on, an electric car, blasting this music with the windows down, wearing a polo shirt and dress pants, in this fucking MAGA truck infested neighborhood, people must be thinking, who the fuck is this asshole? I love it. Like every now and then at a red light, I'll just get these looks like, you're lost. You're lost, my friend. And I'm like, yes, I am. I am. But I know exactly where I am at the same time. It's fun. I love it.
What's going down? I just don't know.
favorite parts of New Hampshire, by far. The scenery is beautiful. Have the windows open, drive down the road at 50 or 60 miles an hour. Lovely green scenery on a nice sunny day. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's my favorite. With Barry White playing.
And I wanna grow. This ball and chain is coming off my neck. I'm gonna take this ball and chain, I'm gonna put it in check. Which way is up? What's going on? What's gonna do it? What's gonna do it? I just don't know.
Looks just like New York City, doesn't it?
Help me.
Which way is up? Which way is up? Which way is up?
That way.
Which way is up?
Yeah. Which way? La, 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 la,
This way, that way, which way, that way, which way, that way. Now that is cool.
Face up.
You got it. Hey man, when you gotta go, you gotta go. Live free or die, you know what I'm saying? Live free or die, baby. Enjoy some nature while I'm out here. I I really do enjoy a drive down Greenville Road. Yeah, the whole having to take off the window tint thing kind of sucks, but what are you gonna do? Really is a beautiful state. Lovely scenery all around.
Say something. You can sit.
You're a drama queen, little bear. Really? Worse than 9/11, worse than Pearl Harbor. You're such a little fucking drama queen. Actually, I shouldn't say drama queen. I should say little bitch. Little bitch is more accurate than drama queen, to be honest with you. Okay. I would say little bitch. Or snowflake. Yeah, you obviously haven't lived through any real hardship in your life. That much is obvious. Okay, let's catch up to 50 miles an hour because this is a highway. There we go. I don't really care much about the argument that right to repair isn't libertarian. I'm not an ideologue. I'm a libertarian-leaning person because I grew up in a city that has an ineffectual clusterfuck of a government. But I'm not an anarcho-capitalist all the way. But let's say you are somebody that is like, when I hear people say this is an issue, like you're using force with a company, who started this shit here? Like truly, like who called me because because there was a schematic in a YouTube video? Who came up with Section 1201 of the DMCA? There's so many ways within which the government is already involved in keeping people from fixing shit. Like there's a lot that and companies are totally okay to use the government to keep people from fixing shit, to keep me from importing shit, to use customs to take my fucking parts away, to keep, to punish people for sharing a fucking drawing using nonsensical concepts like intellectual property, which by the way, if you're a true anarcho-capitalist, I'm sure you've read Stephen Kinsella's book about intellectual property and think that it's a scam. Like, so many people pull out the libertarian card, but they only pull out the libertarian card when it's convenient for the company. They're more than happy to allow the company to continue fucking people over using outdated concepts. And that's the problem I have with that. Like, for instance, when Kilpatrick and Townsend reached out to me and was pissed because Apple was pissed off that I included a schematic in a YouTube video, what were they trying to use there? The power of government. If they were to have issued a DMCA takedown, which very much likely would have happened if it didn't get a public outcry at the time, what would they be using there? The power of government. We don't live in a world where there is no government. So if we live in a world where there's a government, and my opposition will use the government at every single turn to try and keep me from being able to fix things and teach you how to fix things, then it doesn't make sense. Like, there's no such, there can't be a unilateral disarmament. Yeah, that's the term I'm thinking of. Unilateral disarmament. You cannot have unilateral disarmament. Okay, I'm going to stop over here for a moment. We can talk about it over here. That guy's a Marine. I see Semper Fi on his truck. Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit over here. On the side of the road. You're not compelling anyone to sell you anything. Technically, I am. I mean, right repair would say make parts available. Just the force would go in another direction. Yeah, I'm plugging my microphone. Got it. You know what the crazy thing is? I have this habit when I park on the side of the road of using hazard lights because I'm so used to my parking being illegal. But here in New Hampshire, I keep forgetting I don't have to have the blinky lights on. It's actually legal for me to just go on the side of the road and just park. Like, a lot of the times I assume that any place that I can park is illegal because I'm used to New York City where all the parking is illegal. I mean, like, you're not supposed to park unless you're paying $50 an hour or some shit. Like, near my store, it's almost $50 to park your car for an hour or two. But one of the interesting things is here, usually where I park is actually legal.
So like I have this habit. There's this ridiculous habit that I have of always hitting that stupid fucking park anywhere lights, the hazard lights. And like that's one of the millions of ways you could tell I'm a New Yorker. That, and I also toss a construction vest, and like I'll usually have a couple of tools. Like I'll have a tool belt and a reflective vest. Oh, look at this, by the way. That's a truck from the 60s over there. It's gonna come by in 3, 2, 1. That is so cool looking. Look at that shit. That's awesome. Anyway, I'll usually have a reflective vest and a tool belt I'll put up there so it looks like I'm a construction worker. So if I'm parking illegally for a moment, I don't get a ticket from the police. But like I don't have to do that because there's not 8.5 million people on a dot. It's nice. It's kind of nice. Tyranny is when those in charge forbid you from doing the things they do. Can you solve this by becoming a part of the government? I don't think I would ever want to become a part of the government. I'd rather fucking jump in this pond over here and drown myself, honestly. It's entirely their choice to sell it to you, but if they're going to sell it to you, they should be required to sell the parts too. I don't think I follow you, Brad Haynes. I agree that intellectual property is a huge scam, but it doesn't make sense to compel someone to sell you something. I think it does. I mean, I think if you're going to sell property, if you're going to sell somebody a piece of property that can, in many cases, not last longer than 1 or 2 years, but you refuse to make available any of the parts that would be necessary to be able to service that property, I think in the interest of overall property rights, it makes sense. Because in the world that we have right now, you can buy something and then be completely fucked 18 months after you bought it, even if it costs $1,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $150,000. And I think that in the interest of overall property rights, this is something that is in the best interest of everyone. Because at some point, you don't really own property. If anything happens to it, you're just fucked and you have to replace it and buy a new one. Like, I think there's an argument to be made for not in terms of whether it's fair to the company, but whether it's fair to the person who owns property. At some point, we're going to live in a world where you don't actually fucking own anything. You're just renting or leasing it. And everybody's only perpetually leasing it to you. How is right to repair not libertarian? Well, libertarian, I don't know if it's not libertarian. I would say it's not anarcho-capitalist. Anarcho-capitalism is more the idea of it's not no rules, it's no rulers, or rulers using force to decree something. So what they're saying is that you're violating the non-aggression principle by saying, if you do not do this, that is against... Because when you have laws, that means that if you break the law, you get tossed in jail. And using police to toss people in jail goes against the non-aggression principle. So by saying a company must make a part available or must make a schematic available, you are essentially using force to compel them to do something. The problem is that these companies are more than happy to use force as is, and they do it on a regular basis. So for instance, if you have somebody in China take apart an iPhone, and they take the flex cables on that iPhone, and they take them out, and then they mail it to my shop, since it has an Apple logo on it, customs, if it goes to the wrong port in Florida, that iPhone, those iPhone parts that came from an original iPhone, that somebody bought in an Apple store, will be held, and they'll say that this has an Apple logo on it, you're not on the list of people that's supposed to be able to import this, we're going to assume this is counterfeit and take it from you. Like, there's so much force that gets used as is, but that force gets ignored. Nobody cares about that force. Then when we try to step in and say, hey, we would like to be... Okay, fine. If you're not going to allow me to buy this through the channels that I usually use, if you are going to shut down every single website that makes a schematic available to us, if you're going to use all of the force from the government to keep us from being able to do our job, fine, let's turn the gun around in the room. Because the thing is, the anarcho-capitalist idea is that laws in government are a gun in the room, and a gun is force. Because again, if they disobey the law, they disobey the regulation, the government will come with eventually at the force of a gun and make you comply. That's what happens. You know, if you don't comply for a long enough period of time, you get taken to court. If you don't want to go to court, a policeman shows up at your door, and the policeman has a gun, and there is the force. The problem is that we are pretending in many ways that by me not advocating for what I advocate for, that the gun in the room goes away. But in reality, that gun never goes away. It's just going to get used by the fucking company, which is going to point it right at me. And they routinely point it right at me. Like, that's... So sometimes I try to remove things. Like, for instance, Section 1201 of the DMCA, I am doing tens of thousands of dollars worth of lobbying work to get that shit amended so that people can repair their own things. If you are going to break a digital lock for the purpose... Here's my personal standpoint is if you pay for something, that the company should not be able to say, if you break the digital lock on that product, that's something that you go to prison for. Because that's what Section 1201 of the DMCA does. It says that if you break a digital lock on a product, well, you know, or if you facilitate somebody breaking a digital lock on a product that they own, even if they own it, That's something that you're going to prison for, which I think is absolute and utter bullshit. Now, I would like to see Section 1201 of the DMCA erased and set on fire entirely. But if I could start with getting an exemption for the purposes of repair put in there, that's a start. So sometimes with right to repair, it's about removing government regulation, and sometimes it's about adding. But at the end of the day, what I'm looking for is overall greater freedom and overall greater property rights. So if you're looking at libertarianism through the lens of personal freedom, or net overall personal freedom, I think right to repair is for it. If you're looking at it purely from the terms of an anarcho-capitalist, which is any government involvement in anything, then it is not. But it is easy to say that what you're doing, I think the problem with the true anarcho-capitalist take is you're saying you are eliminating the company's freedom to say that they don't want any parts or any schematics to be available to anything they sell, is that you are taking the freedom of a very, very, very small number of people and then making that more important than the property rights of everybody in your country. Now, there is the argument to be made that some people, that protecting the rights of the minority is important, or the most persecuted minority is the individual. That's an interesting argument. There's a lot of flies and mosquitoes here. But again, it really does come down to which right do you want to be protected more? The property rights of 320 million Americans, or the right of certain companies to be able to affect the property rights of all of those Americans? Like, which one winds up being more important? Because you see the way things are going at this point in time. You see the direction that things are going in. And at some point, you're not going to be able to fix anything that you own. And it's not going to be because it's too complicated, security, it's too advanced. It's going to be because you cannot get anything. And it will be by design that you won't be able to get anything, to fix anything ever. And if you wait for that, you should also consider the abuse of right to repair if it's passed. Well, why? I mean, I haven't heard any serious argument made in terms of it. Like, why should I consider it? Truly, when they talk about the abuses of right to repair if it's passed, they say that they talk about racism, they talk about redlining, they talk about mechanics breaking into your house, stalking you and raping you in a parking lot. Why should I take those abuses seriously? If a lobbyist is unable to bring up one factual-based argument as to how right to repair would be abused, why should I take the argument seriously? The reason I don't take it seriously is because they have yet to bring up a single plausible argument as to how it would be abused in a way that's bad for the company, much less the overall majority of people that actually own the devices that they would like repaired. No arguments have been presented that actually make any sense. So it's difficult for me to engage with arguments that don't make sense or to take them seriously. One moment. Is forcing companies to give out schematics IP theft? I'm really, really, really not. I think that intellectual property law has gone a little bit too far. And it also depends on what it is you're looking to give out. Again, if you're asking for a document that demonstrates how to make the board from scratch, kind of. If you're asking for like a top-level diagram of where components are interconnected, not really. Because when you look at the schematic of a MacBook, again, that's not the file that you're actually giving to a vendor that allows them to just print the board from scratch. You need a lot more detailed stuff than a schematic and a shitty top-level board view for that. And my long-term goal is for this to be a cultural movement to where companies naturally want to make these things available, because the people that grew up watching a channel like mine start companies that make all this stuff available because they see the importance of it, or they wind up becoming the executive class and the engineering class at the companies they work at, and they push for it internally. I'll be honest with you, legally is just not the way that I see this getting solved. I see this being solved culturally more than legally. The legal stuff is just theater, in my opinion. I mean, you guys have seen firsthand the bullshit arguments that get used against politicians. You guys have seen firsthand how ineffectual government is. The only reason I really even get involved that much in the legal side of it is because if I don't, my opposition will, and they will absolutely destroy me. But I believe it's a problem that'll be solved culturally, not legally. Everything is a subscription also means that those in charge can cut you off from everything for any reason. Do you say anything we disagree with? All services canceled. You know, that could be a future. Competitors have an easy time reverse engineering and undercutting new products. I don't agree, but it's an argument. Well, Jimmy Dean, that's a good argument. But the thing, here's what I would say. Right now, if you go to VenaFix, within weeks of the release of any Apple product, there'll be a motherboard schematic there. How many companies have ripped off the MacBook and created something that competes in battery life, processing power, energy efficiency with the M1 or the M2 MacBook as a result of the schematic being on VenaFix? If you go to VenaFix or, you know, Elcom or Elvacom, however the fuck you say it, or Notebook Squad, you can go to any one of these sites and find all these schematics. And it's behind a paywall. You got to pay $10 or $20 to get access to the site. But you, again, if you give 10 or $20, you can get the schematic. Like, that's not... Why is everybody not copying one another? And the answer is that the information necessary for repair is radically insufficient to reverse engineer the device from scratch and create a competing product. Thank you, David Chung. I think your cultural and market change strategy is better, more powerful, and more ethical. Again, I really don't see it as a lack of ethics. You know, one of the things that a lot of people who lean libertarian, or I shouldn't say libertarian, I should say anarcho-capitalists fail to realize is when they say what you're doing as the company is unethical, you're fighting an enemy that is if you are fighting an enemy that is more than happy to kick you in the nuts, pick up a knife, pick up a gun, pick up a baseball bat, but you say, I will only go in a fight with my two fists because picking up a weapon is illegitimate, you're not being... I don't think that that's ethical. It doesn't make sense to me. I think you're cucking yourself in a serious way. Like, here's the thing. If we lived in a truly anarcho-capitalist world, right? If we had a world where there was no DMCA, where intellectual property restrictions not there, where customs was not in the pocket of major manufacturers and able to say what packages I can get and what packages I can't get. If a manufacturer would not be subject to serious penalties if they also sold me the same charging chip that they sold Apple, then I would be a little bit more open to saying, okay, from an ethical point of view, we cannot use the government we cannot use government force in order to try to get things done. I would be able to hear that argument, and I may be able to actually be open to it. But like, that's not the world that we live in. We live in a world where you have somebody that is more than happy to throw sand in your face, to kick you in the nuts, to pick up a knife or a shiv and use that in a bar fight. And if you're willing to say, I'm only going to fight fair in a boxing style using my two fists, like, you're going to get fucked. I mean, the world isn't like that. The world isn't an idealistic place. I'd be open to living in that world and not lobbying for a regulated legal right to repair within that world, but I don't live in that world. And the chances of me getting a repair bill passed are massively, massively more likely than me contributing to an anarcho-capitalist libertarian utopia anytime soon in any part of the country. But yeah, people have said that, like, as a libertarian, how can you say that? It's like, I'm not an ideologue. I am definitely libertarian leaning because I grew up in a state with an incompetent, ineffectual, and in many ways useless government. By the way, isn't this scenery beautiful? Does anybody else think this is a really beautiful thing to see on your way home? Look at this. Like, this is gorgeous. Really nice. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Talk to you later. I should grab a fishing pole. See you in the next one. Thanks for listening. I got a stream on the main channel that I'm doing at 8 o'clock. If any of you want to stop by, say hi, you're all welcome to.